Welcome to Fox 8 Extra. I'm Stefani Schaefer. You know, sometimes we really truly take for granted that we have here in the Cleveland area one of the best park systems in the entire nation. And it's all right in our own backyard, pretty much everybody's backyard, because they're everywhere with our Metroparks. Time after time, the Cleveland Metroparks wins a gold medal for excellence. From the zoo to the wonderful beaches, all those trails, the Emerald Necklace, some great restaurants too. It's responsible for so many gems right here in our community. And there's so many more exciting expansions happening on the horizon too. I'd like to welcome my dear friend, the Cleveland Metroparks CEO, Brian Zimmerman. Brian, thank you for taking the time to be with us. Anytime any of us can talk with you at Fox 8, it's like we feel like we had the President of the United States stop by. I mean, we're dead serious because you're so busy and you're doing so many great things. From the minute you came to Cleveland, you have just really turned things around in such a positive way, and it's constantly evolving. How long have you been here now?
So first, thank you for having me.
Yes.
I got chills kind of looking at the first part of what's really been accomplished over 108 years. I've been here 15 years with family, and it has been just a remarkable time in Cleveland. I think too often people think Cleveland this, Cleveland that. It's really one of the most remarkable, dynamic waterfront cities in the country, and we're literally blessed to be here this morning to be able to talk about all things Metroparks.
I know, it's really awesome. I love Brian. He has raised his family here. He and I both have sons that are St. Ignatius graduates.
Yes,
and so
absolutely.
Every time we see each other, we're always chatting about that and the bond that these young men have.
It's a remarkable institution for higher learning. I think there isn't, there are a lot of wonderful choices in town, but St. Ignatius is certainly near and dear. Having coached high school wrestling, most don't know, but I coached high school wrestling for a number of years at Marquette University High School in Milwaukee, and volunteer coached with my son at St. Ignatius here.
Good for you. I did not know that.
Most don't.
That is fantastic. Well, when you're not doing that all stuff, you are really doing amazing things with the Metroparks and everything. Just today, it's funny because here we are, a big news station, but most of our news stories today, we had an owl on our show today. We also talked about, you have some new babies at the zoo. You have this adorable giraffe that's a month old. His name is Zane, and boy, he's so cute. Tell us a little bit about that because people can see him now.
The question I get asked the most is, how does the birth actually happen of a giraffe?
Yes.
Sometimes it's more of a shock and awe because they can birth standing, or we do bed them down, but it's kind of an abrupt entry into life. But boop, and there's Zane. So we're very, very blessed there. But it's an interesting world when you have a zoo that covers 188 acres and all the different animal species. Honestly, there's something that seems to be happening all of the time.
Yes.
We've got a red panda that decided to go on exhibit today with a baby and wandering around, which is just wonderful.
So we didn't even know that in the news yet until you're hearing it first. A new red panda, and then you're going to have a new rhino in a few days.
I've understood that as well.
Yes.
It's like an expectant parent. You're just you're kind of waiting in the room. But it's one of those things where our rhino collection is really, they've done an amazing job with our breeding program. The Daniel Maltz Rhino Reserve, adding more space, being able to flow the animals a little bit more through the exhibit have been really remarkable. And I think over the last number of years, the focus at the zoo has really been less about how many animals, but more about the quality of space. And when you look at the new primate forest, which we'll cover in a little bit, I mean, it's one of the most exciting in our soon-to-be sesquicentennial, which I always try to work in, which is the zoo's 150th year.
Wow, amazing. And another baby tree kangaroo too happening. That little baby's been born.
Not exactly sure how that one. I think that's one of those marsupial, the ones that go out and come in and kind of do their thing, and then they show themselves. So that's very cool as well. And we're getting a new kangaroo barn, which is just finishing construction right now as well. Yeah.
You still have the train there, right?
The train is still there. It's interesting. It's a favorite. We're also looking at kind of the future, which could be a night yard, which would then maybe take our train from what I call the traditional to a trackless train that could move just around just a little bit differently for the zoo. So always something very dynamic at our zoo happening.
I want to mention too, is such a huge animal lover. Every time I go to the zoo, I see you do more and more to raise money for the animals that are in the wild. And that's really a huge mission of yours that I want you to address and talk about, because some of these animals would be extinct if it wasn't for the conservation efforts of things like these zoos across our country that do. And you guys are behind it 1,000,000%. And I applaud you for that. Thank you.
It's one of the things where I think there's, this, I got to go to the zoo today, but this zoo is working so hard at that education process. When you come in, you've got the Jack Joseph and Morton Mandel area where you can vote for conservation for quarters, and they do change over time, but the Andean bears we've worked with, the orangutans, we just had one of the individuals from Borneo actually in town, actually talking. The Diane Fossey work that we do with the gorillas, we're really tied to Taras Dewinski's group, and having traveled to Rwanda to see him in the wild is an amazing experience. Puerto Rican crested toads, and the list goes on. There are so many wonderful ways that we support conservation, but it's really about getting out and telling our story. We have an amazing educational staff where young children come in. We call it the bus brigade, where we've got buses that come in and be able to really help tell that story of why it's important, why the genetics, the SSPs, species survival plans, are so important for the long-term health of our animals.
Yeah, it's really igniting kids' fascination and imagination and respect for animals that are around us, whether in the wild or at the zoo. All of this cannot happen, though, without the community support. And talk a little bit about that, because you and I then on the other level of, hey, we need these bills to pass by the community when they're up for, people don't realize they're sometimes on the ballot, but what you can do to help is helping all of the great efforts that you guys do at the Metroparks.
So for those, we're not on the ballot for another 7 years.
Yes.
But we have been very blessed here in Cuyahoga County. The 1545 park districts were designed to conserve and preserve and protect land in the state of Ohio, 88 counties. Our last levy passed at 88%, 87.7%. So we call it 88.
You see the communities behind you supporting and loving what you're doing.
And that's been universal. And there is a lot of talk about taxes and the right sizing of either governments or not. But our 108 years, we've never borrowed money. And I think when we do, our concept of as we pay as we go, we've had the appreciative support of this community across all facets. When you think of, starting with the original 3 acres in Rocky River, now having 25,000 acres, this mantra of 8, 80, or 8, whether you're 8 years old or 80 years old, you should have an 8-minute walk or ride to a high-quality park. And we've been working very hard. Trail systems down in Solon, trail systems that we worked with the county on East 19th Street, 5th, right out in front of your particular area here, certainly on the north side of the highway, but having that support, without it, it's 60% of our revenue. So if the property tax, which is being debated downstate, if it goes away, 60% of our revenue goes away. That's a solid thing that the community really needs to be educated about, that's one of the top conversations downstate right now.
But the benefits are just outweigh anything you can imagine, truly. 19 million visitors.
19 million visitors, and that's ones that we can quantify. I think the reality is that there are so many recreation opportunities or pass-throughs. People that may travel to work in the morning, and that's their recreation. But we're blessed with major support across our golf courses, our zoo, recreation visits that go to the lakefront. Certainly, and we think back to the renaissance of Edgewater, the volleyball. Do you remember the infamous day that we're on the lakefront? And we started and nobody was there. It was one of those things where, like, I came from Milwaukee and I'm like, what is going on? This should be the greatest asset here in Northeast Ohio. And it was really not exactly as well prepared as we needed to be. Fox 8 says, hey, we're going to come out. And by the time the morning ended, you remember there's like 100, 150, people just kept coming. They're like, hey, we saw what was going on and what's going to happen. And so you guys have been with us like every step of the way of the renaissance of those lakefront parks.
Well, and you're the one that came in and kept saying this is the biggest gem of the city, is the waterfront, the lakefront. And we did our morning show, morning show there, but then you guys just now have taken it to a whole new level with the bands, local bands performing on Thursday nights, the food trucks, the ice cream things. I mean, you get everybody involved. It's been a safe, fun, free thing for families to do.
It's really more of a total system kind of concept. And when we had the Edgewater Live, which people absolutely loved and adored, it actually, we really kind of outgrew it. I mean, the space, it really became semi-challenged managing the crowds. And we also had to take into account Wendy Park Whiskey Island volleyball leagues and all of the other things. So now we move the concerts around. So there's more opportunity to see a Merwin's Wharf, a Huntington, which is one of my favorite locations. Now Wallace, if you haven't been over to the Berea area.
You guys have done a great job with Wallace. Tell us about about what's going on there. It's beautiful.
You know, it was one of those unique things, I think, Ready Now, you know, so we've kind of done these different projects. And when I look at Wallace, it was one of those things where we had so many amazing memories of people saying, oh, I got, you know, my first ticket, I got my first kiss, my first date, my first this, you know, a lot of things happened at Wallace. It was just kind of like that iconic area. The facility really needed, you know, some polish, and it is now what I call one of the gems of the Metroparks. It's got 2 facilities for lifeguards. You can get a hot sandwich, you can get a cold beverage, you can get a concert. It's just really more of a really nice gathering. We call it really a placemaking. We moved the volleyball courts. We've got a lot of friends from Baldwin Wallace that come over and play, and it's really just became this new ecosystem for us.
So you mentioned 2 restaurants. You mentioned Merwin's Wharf.
Oh
my gosh, fantastic. And you guys are building one here.
We are. You know, it was a number of years ago. It's actually 11 years now. It was kind of that aha moment when we partnered with Trust for Public Land, the Cleveland Rowing Foundation, a host of others.
Yes.
Very interesting. It had a liquor license. It had this opportunity. It was going to go out because it was in what they called safekeeping very quickly. We were able to bring in Mitchell Schneider, great fun story, First Interstate. They were closing a Borders bookstore. We took out the restaurant from there, placed it in there to get the liquor license out. And lo and behold, most don't know how it actually started.
Yeah.
It started by that we were selling cold wraps, pretzel, like just small things.
Yeah.
And people just kept coming and they kept coming. We're like, oh my gosh. It wasn't the thing where like, hey, we want to have a restaurant. But it was just, it grew right from that. And then when we took on the lakefront, East 55th came. Fun story that night. The first night that we were there, the beer was showing up, and we were literally pushing it through, and then people started showing up. So people were really hungry for these waterfront locations.
Yes.
Merwin's Wharf is now one of, I think, really anchored in one of the best patios. And then the work that we're doing at the Patrick S. Parker Sailing Center, to me, that was a missing component of our lakefront, our assets, of having this place where it said community. Patrick S. Parker, the Mandels. There are so many people, Parker Hannafin, that have believed in what we're doing, and now this wonderful thing will just be rising. In fact, I think right now they're starting to go vertical, so it's really humbling to see the work with the Foundry and all of our other partners of gaining access to the lakefront.
And I think people, if you haven't experienced this, just go on the website and you will realize how close all of this stuff is to you. And most of these events that you guys do are free. They involve kids. Just the research or the resources are incredible. You guys really teach kids. You get everybody excited. I mean, I can't even begin to talk about it because we do on every Monday or Metroparks Monday, and I am just amazed at all the planning that your group does to really engage the community. It's amazing.
It's really actually humbling to know we have such an amazing staff and such a dedicated, caring staff.
Yes.
I mean, you know, owls to elephants to golf to
talk about that. The golf, your golf is amazing. Some of the best in the country are the Metro golfs.
We've been very
golf courses.
Very blessed. And again, I wish I could say I had something to do with Donald Ross or Stanley Thompson, but you know, they were pre my era. They had passed. But to have 2 in the top 25 of best municipal golf courses in the country.
Amazing.
I mean, you're up against, you know, some of the big boys on the east and the west coast. But with the addition of Ironwood, the work that we're doing at Seneca, the new driving range, the revenue that we do acquire actually goes back into the golf courses. So, you know, as people support, we're able to put the money back into the golf courses. That's why the back of A, as it's called, the traditional A at Seneca. So 36 holes will be fully renovated. Ironwood came on board. Manakiki got a new maintenance facility and irrigation system done in-house. Again, very proud of what the team has been able to accomplish in golf. COVID was really kind of that pivot point and the inflection point. It was like really flat. COVID hit, and now all of a sudden golf is like back again, which I think is one of the best sports. We have our first tee learning program over at Washington, and it's really about the opportunity to be outdoors and engaging.
And I think when COVID hit, that was a good opportunity for people to get out there. They couldn't go to restaurants, they couldn't go to malls, they couldn't go to shopping to places. So they were able to get out there and explore. And that's when I think a lot of people really discovered nature more and discovered what you guys have to offer and how you are everywhere.
Our numbers have really shown that too. I think the affinity for, and we even hear through our studies that it's like, I may not have used it, but I appreciate it. And I think that's, you know, when you think of the place that we have in this kind of community's ecosystem between Hinkley Lake, that the work that we're doing down there, one of our biggest projects that we've undertaken, the $10 million dam project and the dredging, to be able to bring that back online. We're really trying to provide that quality recreational experience for our residents.
It's funny, so many people that I know will say, I go the longer route to work because I want to drive through maybe the Rocky River Reservation, whatever, because it makes you feel good and it calms you down. on your way into work. It's amazing. You're just, everything you guys touch has just truly turned to gold, and that has a lot to do with you leading the helm. I mean, you've just done so much. You
That's
really,
very kind.
truly have.
But
You
I
really
always
have.
say
I mean
it's the team that sits behind in the everyday chairs that are really lifting. And when you look at Irishtown Bend as an asset that's coming on board, and when you look at what I call the alphabet soup of wonderful partners, it's progress through partnerships. Whether it's West Creek, Western Reserve Land Conservancy in Euclid Beach over on the east side, whether it's the Zoological Society that we'll talk about the zoo. I mean, there's just we want to be the best partner, and we want to be able to provide quality back to this community.
You can see why he's so amazing. Now, if you could run the world, that would be great, right? All right, we're going to take a short, quick commercial break, but stay close because we're talking about what will soon be the zoo's primate forest and all the construction happening there. Wait until you see how amazing it's going to be. More when Fox 8 Extra returns. Yes, all right, well, back now with Brian Zimmerman, who's the CEO of the Cleveland Metroparks, and that's the zoo, that's the restaurants, that's the golf, the trails. What am I missing? Everything, right? How many? I mean, it's everything.
It's everything.
So we talked about winning the gold medals. Tell everyone a little bit about that too, because we dominate.
Not only do we dominate
in the country.
Yeah, we've won it 5 times, 2 in most recent years. And it was interesting. We won back in 2016 and 21, so it was really back-to-back championships.
And everything is this is everything that the Metroparks does.
That
right?
is correct,
Okay.
and it's for excellence in park maintenance, park management, and you could only win it every 5 years. Now they have the Metroparks rule; it's every 6. You can apply on the 6th year, so you have to wait 5 full. But I was actually honored most recently to become a national gold medal judge, and they do it by class. So there's class 1 through 5, and so each class has a judge representing the agency and their size. And so now I have a 4-year term to be a national gold medal judge, of which now we can't win because of conflict of interest,
Yeah.
and then we have to go 2+ after that. But you know, an amazing opportunity to really be on a national stage and understand the kind of the position of what Metroparks brings. And you know, we are known as the best in the country.
The leader, and the other cities, they'll talk to him and say, like, I mean, you definitely have won this one again, because you have expanded in so many ways beyond the zoo or beyond a park. It's just, you have really given us in Cleveland and beyond something special.
Well, and it's interesting too because it's for best managed. It's not well, you built this nice whatever, you did this. It's really they go through your strategic plan and they go through how you're actually run as an agency. Again, that kind of ties back to how we're funded. We have a very strong support. This massive project that we're taking on at the zoo with the Cleveland Zoological Society and our wonderful partner. I mean, to bring on this primate forest. I mean, we couldn't do it without the community support. When I look at the opportunity to move orangutans, which was in the teas, outside for the very first time. I mean, to me, that's humbling to know that they'll be outside, to have cross-country mortgage behind us, to have the new walkway, the new forest gallery coming in, and then the next phase in future years of bringing on the gorilla exhibit. It's really one of those, I think, unique opportunities to be able to tell this story. A zoo that will be 150 years old, Park District's 108 years old. It's really a very special place.
And that's going well. The construction's going great. When are we looking for that to be done?
So the next phase, you know, my prayerfulness is that we keep everything, you know, on track, on time, on budget for that Memorial Day timeframe of next year. We talked about the Sailing Center, which is across the street as well. We're looking at that time frame as well. A lot depends on winter conditions. You know, Cleveland, we can get a wonderful winter. Some would say snow is a wonderful winter. Some would say, hey, I don't want any snow. But we stay busy during the winter months as well, cross-country skiing and wonderful opportunities as well. So we have a lot of wonderful projects that are going on right now across the 25,000 acres.
And right across the street from Fox 8 at the 55th here, tell everyone what's coming in there, and which they did a ton of work over the weekend because I noticed it this today.
Yep.
Like, wait, all of a sudden it's high. What happened?
Well, they call it, you know, it's the flat work. It's kind of like a house that seems big and small as you're building it. The flat work is kind of just It's like, oh, what's really going on? It's all below ground. But once they start going vertical, you know, there's like phasing. And so this is the Patrick S. Parker Community Sailing Center. It's really tied to what we call this waterfront city concept, and the work that Greg Harris and the board at the Rock Hall have added, you know, $170 million project plus or minus, and the work that they're doing, Scott Skinner's group in the North Coast Yard, really trying to create this ecosystem of waterfront destinations, East 9th all the way to MLK with the Jack Joseph and Mort Mandel Community Trail, really tying in the assets. So if you look at our North Coast being tied to our cultural institutions, University Circle with Cape Borders, we're really trying to be that intermediary that's tying these assets together. The Sailing Center is really about the community and its access to the water, access to Lake Erie.
And that's what you've given everyone access. Carrie and I were just talking about the other day because we were last together, Carrie and I, outside of work, because we had our Fox 8 Foxtrot, which is at the
where's
zoo.
that at?
Right? So, I mean, you guys have done wonderful things with us, and her kids are there. They love it. Carrie, you bring the kids all the time because they're members.
Member, yep. We're constantly at the zoo.
I mean, I think that Carrie's family, they have 3 kids, that's what this is all about, is family, getting people out there and to enjoy all that we have to offer.
It's really, we call it the cradle to grave. So, whether you're in basically a bassinet stroller or pushing, or basically, at your more, you have ability to be able to access the park district. And that to me is one of the wonders of what our founder, William Stinchcomb, put together with the first 3 acres, now looking at this completion of what we call the Emerald Necklace, which is really known by many. It's just a great opportunity for people to be outdoors. And I think there's something to be said, when we have our iPads and our phones and we become this on-demand society, to be able to unplug and reconnect. They call it, the word is recreation, but it's like recreation. How do you recreate things in your head? How do you go for a walk? How do you hear the rustle of the leaves? How do you listen to what the birds are doing? We have the wonderful monarch migration. We have bird migrations. We are really this dynamic ecosystem here in Northeast Ohio.
What is next? How do you see this even getting bigger?
I think it's, this is one of those, kind of unique inflection points. Again, what I was talking about, downstate kind of earlier in the podcast or even, in this segment was really about, being able to be sustainable, to be able to continue. 60% of our revenue does come from property taxes. If that ceases to exist by some constitutional amendment, we will dramatically look different. But not for that. We're going to continue to do the things. We're going to finish the gorilla exhibit. We're going to continue to enhance the park system, trails and South Chagrin, trails in Garfield, trails that would come into transportation corridors coming into the Gateway District. So we have a lot of things in this next 7 to 10 years of our strategic plan that we would like to complete for this community.
I love that the engagement of getting kids passionate about whether it's nature, whether it's baby animals, the lanterns that you do. I mean, we can go on and on and on. We need like a 10-hour show.
But that's how I started. I don't know if you know that's how. So I took a class, it was Nature Later. Gary Later was this gentleman's name, and somehow early on we created a prairie at my high school, a prairie, who would have known? We harvested seeds from the UW Arboretum, and then we created this prairie, and I got interviewed by one of the news stations as a little kid, but that kind of piqued the interest. I evolved into golf and some of the other things, but being outdoors and being able to create these habitats has been really, but who would have known in 7th and 8th grade? But that's how I got inspired, through education, outdoor education, and natural resources.
And that's the spark that has just lit up so many great things, and that's what you do for all the kids that go visit, like Carrie's kids too. All right, so 3 things that make you happy before I let you go.
I think just life in general. I mean, when we think of, Cleveland and the people, it's an amazing city. It's dynamic. There are so many wonderful things. The Playhouse, our sports teams, the Metroparks, the University Circle. We are really, truly blessed here. We punch above our weight every single day, this waterfront city. I love to be outdoors. If I get a chance, you'll find me on a golf course or on the Sunflower Farm or on a boat. It's hard. That's why I love this job so much, because I can be inside when I need to be, but then I can be outside as well. Either celebrating with staff or talking through our next, capital project.
What you're doing is remarkable, and I thank you for everything, because I know you love Cleveland so much, and you've done such 15
years,
great
which
job.
is hard to believe. I think I've known you about that amount of time here, and again, I can't thank Fox enough, because I think it's the position to be able to tell your story. That is one of the things that I think our team, our marketing team, JLG1, I mean, like, we keep things moving and we tell the story, and it's important to be on time. TNT today, not tomorrow.
Today, you got it. Well, we do have a great partnership. We love you guys so much. We've embraced it. You've supported us. We've supported you guys, and we're just very grateful for that relationship.
Thank you for having me.
Now, so if you know someone, is there any way you can arrange a little meet and greet with me with that little baby giraffe soon?
I think there may be people that I know that you could probably, take a sneak peek at.
Okay. Yeah. Feed them some lettuce or something. So cute.
They absolutely love it. Do you know why their tongue is dark colored?
No.
So they don't get sunburnt when they're taking the leaves off the trees.
For real.
For real. That's a fun little fact about a giraffe.
No kidding. Sit down with him for 2 seconds and you're never going to believe what you'll learn. Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
you
Thank you for having
being
me.
with us. Thank you for all the wonderful things that you've done for our city.
Appreciate it.
And go Wildcats.
Go Cats.
All right, go Cats. All right, thank you so much for being with us for Fox 8 Extra. We will see you again next week. So long.